Alrighty, everybody. Good morning, you guys. Welcome, welcome. Welcome back here to another live. It's been a day or so since we went live. There's really wasn't a whole lot going on here, in the weather world. Until now, I'm actually watching a storm system that I wanted to kind of do a bit of a morning briefing, just to kind of talk about it, kind of show you guys what's going on with the weather and all kinds of fun stuff like that. But anyways, you guys, I hope everyone's doing well. We're gonna wait a second for everybody to join here. Um, yeah, the storm could take place. From the way it looks like possibly right around Valentine's Day. There's been a little bit of support between the models. Talking about a potential storm system here, but we'll get more into it here in a moment. Anyways, good morning, Rose. Good to see you. Saying good morning. It is cold here in Virginia Beach. And I mean downright freezing. Oh, I'm sure it is. I'm sure you guys are really cold out there. Here, let's look at those temps this morning. Let's see what we're dealing with out there. I'm sure it's definitely really chilly. It is. It's a little chilly here in central Florida. It's a little bit chilly this morning. Yeah, right now we're in our lower 40s out by where I'm at here. Yeah, you guys are in the teens from what it looks like. Maybe the upper teens out by Virginia Beach. Definitely a little bit cold. Bits of the northeast right now, in the Ohio Valley, out by like Cleveland. Looks like we're kind of near single digits and maybe even negatives. Northeast is really cold. Yeah, we had this other cool down that's ongoing still across the east. But hopefully it'll be warming up here soon. We'll do a deep dive into models and stuff like that. Rosa says 18 degrees on your thermometer. Wow, yeah, it's a little bit chilly. Out where I was born, up here in Northern Virginia, looks like it's in the single digits and teens. Really cold stuff here. Really chilly. All right, well, you know what? We're going to take a quick moment. We're going to go ahead and go over everything real quickly. We're going to start off with the radar. Current radar. We're going to start doing this, I think, every morning, kind of just giving you guys a briefing of what's going on here. And like I said, well, obviously we'll talk about this next upcoming storm here in a minute. But I do want to, maybe start doing some weather briefings here with you guys. In the morning, even if nothing's going on, just to kind of show you all where everything's at. Kind of what we're looking at here in terms of the weather and stuff. But if we pull up the radar right now, so this is the radar currently. We'll give it a second to load here. That way we can see kind of everything that's going on here. So this is the radar for the past 4 hours. We're gonna go ahead and load up this this data here. There we go. We'll go ahead and just let that. If actually, you know what? It's not one work very well. Anyways, well there we go. So you can see right now we have actually a little bit of snow out here by the Ohio Valley. It looks like we have a little bit of snow out by like Indiana, Ohio. Maybe portions of eastern Kentucky. We have a little bit of, snowfall going on over there by Michigan. Actually, we have a bit of snow getting ready to come up over here towards our Great Lakes regions. So the friends out there in the Great Lakes, got to keep an eye on it. Got to keep an eye on it. We actually might have a little bit of snowfall, to come out for some of those regions. Now, up here in the Pacific Northwest, so our friends up in like Northern California, portions here of Oregon, obviously we have a little bit of like Northern Idaho, Western Montana. We do have a little bit of precipitation going through right now. Looks like we could have a little bit of snow showers in those upper elevations where it is a little bit cooler. Anyways, but that is the current radar. And also maybe a little bit of showers out by Texas and in Oklahoma right now. So, there's kind of a nation view here. This is the last like 4 hours worth of data. I mean, you can see we do have, once again, a little bit of snow in the Ohio Valley, a little bit of rain out west, and a little bit down south as well. Good morning, Haley. Good to see you. But anyway, so that's that. I do want to bring up the satellite view. Thankfully, they actually added satellite to this program, which I'm really happy with because we didn't have that before, but now we actually got good satellite here, which I'm super thankful for. So we'll pull it up here really quickly as well. There's actually a little bit of dry air that was in place, across the southeast. It seems like there still is a little bit of dry over like Florida and whatnot, but a little bit more of a moisture-filled air mass over by the plains here. especially out in the Pacific Northwest. Like I said, we actually have a bit of precipitation coming through right now, a lot of moisture pumping its way into the region. So, our friends out there, Washington, Oregon, once again, as we looked at the radar, we are starting to see a bit of, rainfall and some upper level snow falling out there as well. So, definitely is going to be bringing a little bit of, that precipitation here. Did they really change the moderator look? Remember the old wrench that they had? Did they replace it with a badge? Well, I'll be gosh darned. It looks like they actually YouTube actually changed something. That's weird. Anyways, but yeah, so that's that. Now let's take a little bit of a dive into the near future forecast. Throughout the next couple of days here. So we're gonna pull up the models. I'm gonna pull up the R. You know what? We're gonna bring up the RRFS. I think that's a good one that we're gonna look at here. So let's pull up the RRFS model. We'll pull up precipitation type, and we'll kind of see what we're looking at. But like I said, yeah, we do have a bit of snow coming up for the Great Lakes here. Looks like we're getting ready to get some activity out here. Let's see here. Yeah, so it looks like, according to the RRFS model, seems like we're going to be getting a bit of snow. This actually shows maybe some freezing rain out by like Michigan even. That's interesting. I'm going to have to compare that to the HRRR. It's good to give a little bit of a comparison, but it seems like a lot of the heavy snow is probably going to be up there by the upper state of Michigan. Yeah, that's what you're saying, Haley. Once again, I would not recommend wanting tornadoes because they're not fun. I wouldn't see why you're excited for tornado season unless you're a storm chaser, but not really a good thing. Rose says, let's see. All right, church service starting 45 minutes. All right, sounds good. Thank you for stopping by, Rose. Appreciate it. But anyways, yeah, like I said, we're gonna have to keep an eye on this here. A bit of snow for bits of Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan here, and of course some of that could even lead up into the Northeast here as well. This is going to be taking place pretty much on Monday. So yeah, tomorrow is when we're going to see this. It looks like pretty late too. Probably in the later afternoon, going into the evening is when we'll start to see that. You can see the time in the bottom left there, which you guys can follow along with. But yeah, I mean, like I said, the RRFS model here does show a bit of freezing rain, maybe some sleet included, which is interesting. Then, of course, like I said, this goes up to the Northeast here. Maybe as a bit of snow. Now, down south, it actually looks like California is going to be starting to get some, or going to start to get some precipitation here soon as well. Seems like, yeah, maybe later Monday going into early Tuesday. Looks like we have another round of moisture coming in. Snow for those upper elevations east of Sacramento. And a bit of rain. Could even lead to some maybe out by like Los Angeles even here by the morning of Wednesday, maybe early Wednesday. Could get a little bit of rainfall out there. So, I mean, yeah, you can kind of see where the next few days leads us when looking at the RRFS model. Once again, the main features obviously being that little snowstorm up in the Great Lakes region here, you guys can see. So that'll be a little bit of a snowstorm we need to keep an eye on. Maybe it'll track through the the Northeast here as well. It even looks like there might even be a bit of lake effect snow on the backside as well as a result from this cooler air coming down yet again. I heard a report that I think it was Lake Erie was already like 90% frozen, because of this cold air that we've been having here. It's pretty wild. I can't confirm that, but I did hear that somewhere, which is honestly wouldn't surprise me. I mean, just given the fact that how cold it's been, across a lot of the a lot of those regions there by the Great Lakes. I mean, it's just been super super cold, and it really hasn't got above freezing anytime recently either. So I mean, it's just been heavy after heavy after heavy freeze in the region, which has just made things like super super cold and super icy out there. But anyways, so that's what the RRFS model shows. I do, because like I said, the RRFS does show a bit of freezing rain. Now obviously any type of ice is a big problem here. When it comes between freezing rain or even sleet, two really big issues. So let me bring up the HRRR here. I do want to look at the comparison just to kind of see where they stand. We'll see what HRRR does suggest. Ooh. Okay, I don't like that. I don't like that. So it looks like HRRR does agree on that being a thing. Here, let me do a side-by-side comparison here. Let's see here. Any chance of an end of month Arctic blast into Texas? Good question. Here, give me 1 second. I want to compare this real quickly, and then we'll pull it up. All right. Here, let's do sync maps so we can keep that on point. Let's bring up our precipitation type here. And let me bring up the, what we got? So we'll pull up the RRFS on the right panel here, and then the HRRR on the left. That way we can kind of get a good side-by-side. We'll also pull up the 06 UTC run here on both. There we go. All right. But yeah, that's going to be something that we really got to look into. That might be a bit of an ice concern. Like I said, for Michigan, that might even lead down to maybe a little bit of Ohio. Like I said, it really does not take much. Like I said, it really doesn't take much to really cause some problems with the ice. Anyways, but yeah, so we'll definitely keep an eye on that. Here, let's pull up the single panel for you, Jethro. Let me pull this up. We'll look at we'll pull up the temperature anomaly here, 2 meter temp anomaly. That way we can kind of see where these models stand, in terms of the cold and warm area. Let's actually bring up my my personal temperature anomaly map here that we can kind of see it. So it's really been the east that's been getting it. Yeah, so this is kind of mid-late month, but obviously, I mentioned this before, I really don't like looking that far down in the models. Wow, I look really red right now. I'm a really warm anomaly, apparently. But I don't like looking too far into models because, the further you go out, the more, iffy they do tend to get. Like I mentioned, the east right now, the northeastern U.S. has been well below normal, in terms of temperatures here. It actually looks like we might finally kind of pull away from that maybe for a little bit. And it seems like a lot of the central U.S. is going to be well above normal, in terms of temperatures and whatnot. But yeah, honestly, it's a little too early to tell for sure. Let's pull up a comparison with the ECMWF. I'll pull up the Euro here real quickly. Yeah, obviously it's good to get more than one model run, or more than one model support. But once again, I don't like to push any really further than 150 hours out. That might, for some people, that might be, not far enough, or that might be a little too early out. But for me, I only like to look about 150 hours out or less because, things do go really far and really quickly off the rails very quickly. Anything beyond that typically. But, to answer your question, I don't see anything in the works right now. It seems like a lot of the central U.S. is going to be pretty much above average, with the temperatures for the next probably couple of weeks. The Northeast right now obviously is a bit below average still, but from the way the models were talking, it seems like that could change. Maybe things will warm up a little bit. So we'll just have to keep a close eye out there for that. Anyways, I do want to pull up something real quickly though. Let's get rid of this. I think, what was it? I can't, why is there a little thingy here? You guys can't see that. Here, let's pull up our climate prediction center outlooks here. I do want to look at those temperature outlooks. So here's the 6 to 10, days 6 to 10 temperature outlooks from the CPC, which, actually proves exactly what we were looking at here, is that a lot of the central country is actually going to warm up a bit. We're actually going to be a little bit warmer than typical, for this time of the year. It seems like out west, that it's slightly below average, especially out there by like northern California. So a little bit cooler out west. For a lot of the central country, a little bit warmer than usual. The east, kind of normal. you know? Right at the current moment, obviously, we're colder than normal, but here soon, once again, this is days 6 to 5. So this is 6 days to, 6 days from now, starting to 10 days from now. Um, in which, yeah, I mean, you can obviously see that, it does show the east becoming kind of back into normal standards. Now, here's days 8 to 14, which is kind of the extended range temperature forecast, which, yeah, also starts to include a bit of the east being above normal temperatures. So more warmer air warm air is on the way from what it looks like, which is definitely good. That'll take place within the next week or two. But then out west, it seems like it's actually going to be a little bit cooler than usual. So we're kind of swapping positions, it seems. It always seems like that. While the west is doing something else, the east is doing something totally different. I mean, since we're on it, we'll look at the precipitation outlook too. Here's the day 6 to 10 precip outlook. It seems like a lot of the west is really going to be getting a lot of precipitation coming up soon. You can see this area where we do have a 70% chance of above average precipitation. Or above normal precip for a lot of California, including like Los Angeles, Sacramento. So we could start to see some more precip out here. Same thing up in the far northern plains, upper Midwest. A good 50% chance probability of it being above. That leads through some of the Midwest, some of the Ohio Valley. Then you got Florida. It's actually a little bit cold, not cold, but dry, which kind of typical for us this time of the year. It is a little bit dry for us. It's not really until I believe like May is when things start to get a little bit more wet here in Florida. But it's supposed to be a little bit dry. Same thing for South Texas here. From the way it looks, we're kind of lacking that subtropical jet, which looks like a lot of it's going to be kind of going over the western country. So once again, just a little bit of a heads up for more precipitation out there. Then we look at the precip outlook for days 8 to 14. So starting 8 days from now, ending 14 days from now. Same thing, the west is just going to be above normal in precipitation. So it seems like the west is going to start to get some more precip up towards like the Great Lakes area. We'll get maybe a little bit more precip as well. But then, yeah, down south by the Gulf Coast, it seems like we're going to start to dry up a little bit, which we won't be getting as much, precipitation out there. Now, when looking at the drought monitor, I do want to actually pull that up here just to kind of show you guys where the dry spots are. It seems like a lot of the southeastern and eastern country seems to be a little bit dry, especially up by Florida. Like where I'm at here in Lakeland, we're under a moderate drought. I mean, it has been very dry. It has been super dry. There's actually some areas in the extreme drought in Florida, which is pretty crazy. Seems like a lot of the Ohio Valley, like for portions central southern Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia is pretty good. Not much drought going on. Same thing up in the northern plains, central plains up by Kansas. Looks to be pretty normal. Look at this. This is pretty wild to see, actually. The entire state, for the most part, of California, except the extreme northwestern side, slightly drier than usual. Pretty much the entire state of California here is not really dry. Everything's pretty good. We're not really in much of a drought. But, you can see there's a pretty good chunk of the U.S. that is in some pretty dry conditions out here. Some of those main regions being pretty much a lot of the Gulf Coast, the eastern U.S. coast, the southern plains, Midwest even, a bit dry. So, for some of these regions, especially out in the west, like we talked about, and maybe up by the northern plains, upper Midwest, it'll probably start to rain a little bit more. Like we mentioned here, the extended precipitation outlook we were just looking at, like we mentioned, you can see here overlaying that shows you where the green here, more precipitation coming up. So, anyways, what's up, Bingsy? Good to see you. Is it looking like severe weather making a comeback soon? Possibly. We were actually needing to talk about this one storm here. So on Valentine's Day, there's been a little bit of talk in the models. All right, let's pull that up now, actually. There's been a little bit of talk in the models mentioning that we might have a bit of a storm system for right around then. So here is the 14. So this is the American GFS. You can kind of see just a big blob. It's obviously the long range model, which is low resolution. Whenever you push long range, you get low res. But yeah, the low resolution model, or the GFS here, is showing us a bit of a storm brewing right around Valentine's Day, maybe the 13th or 14th. Now, I will tell you this: there is a bit of disagreement still, in the models. There's a pretty decent amount of disagreement, actually. The reason I'm mentioning this is because for the last couple of runs from the GFS, and we'll look at the other models here in a minute, there's been a lot of talks about the system. And I tell you what we're going to do, actually. I do have a bundle put together that I can actually show you guys a bunch of different models, and I really want to pull this up. So let's do that now. So we have, what is it, 5 different models here? Yeah. 5 specific models. Let's sync up our maps so they actually kind of work with each other here. So there you go. So you can kind of see that, there's a little bit of agreement, a little bit of disagreement here. There's obviously a lot of work that needs to be done between these models, before we kind of like really pin out what concerns this is going to be. Here, let's get rid of those weather balloon sites. Anyways, but yeah, you can see that the GFS in the top left, shows a pretty good amount of moisture coming through, the east, driving a pretty big storm. Euro shows it in the southern plains, mostly up by like Texas here. Not as big, actually a little bit early as comparing to what the American GFS shows. The GDPS model does show, a little bit of support down here once again for, kind of in between what the Euro and the GFS have to show. A little bit of something popping off here. The AI GFS and the AI Euro does show some type of something popping off here. So, you can see between these models, there is a bit of support right around Valentine's Day that we could actually start to see, some activity out here. So what this could mean, it could mean maybe some winter weather, maybe some severe weather. Like I said, obviously because of how much these models disagree right now, the in particular threats are still unknown. But storms like this could bring some of that concerns as mentioned. Maybe some storms, maybe some winter weather. It's still a little bit early to be for sure exactly what we'll be seeing out of that storm, but it's at least worth a mention. So we might have a Valentine's Day storm here. It's obviously still 6 days out, so that's still quite a few days that way. And like I said, the only reason it's worth mentioning is because there's some support on it, and it's not beyond 150 hours out. It's actually right at the 150 hour mark. So, anything further than that gets a little iffy, but we do have some support in the models, at least of the system's existence, But we'll definitely keep you guys up to date with it, and we'll let y'all know any new information we get. Hopefully soon we'll start to get maybe a little bit more agreement out of those models, because they're still in a little bit of disagreement here. Let's see here. Looks like I've got some new lights in the studio too. I do have a little bit, yeah. Out there, that LED strip I added not too long ago, which is pretty cool, and then that one thing down there I added too, which I thought was pretty cool. I do have this, my main light, that kind of helps, but it makes me look green right now. And then if I don't have it on, it makes me look red. Look at me turn red. Oh my goodness. Anyways, but it kind of leaves a glare on the TV. That's why I had it off here. Anyways. But yeah. It's coming along, man. I tell you, it's been a work in progress. And still, one day we're gonna hang up a YouTube play button right there. One day it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. It might take a couple of years. It might take a decade or so, but we'll get there. we'll get there eventually. But anyways, guys, well, this will be now a good part of the stream, to where if you guys had any questions, any specific things you wanted to talk about on the stream, let us know. Obviously, weather related. Like I mentioned, if there's anything you want me to go over specifically, like I said, just let me know. We'll be here to be here to help you guys out and just keep y'all in the loop with everything. I do want to bring up instability. Let's do most unstable cape here. This is fuel, thunderstorm fuel, essentially. So I do want to look at this. The reason I'm pulling this up. Ooh, okay, yeah. So that's for that Valentine's Day Stormhouse we were just mentioning here. Wow. So it does seem like there is a bit of instability that could be involved here too. Here, let's pull up Euro. Let's see what the ECMWF compares to maybe. Here we go. 13.4. Ooh, okay. Yeah, so I mean, obviously the models look totally different, with how the system plays out. But one thing to note is that both of the the European model and the American GFS does, in fact, support maybe a little bit of an unstable environment, which, in theory, could lead to maybe some storm activity. We'll have to see. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. And of course, it's going to be happening, right around Valentine's Day of all days. So here, let's pull this back up again. We'll pull up the we'll do mixed layer cape here. Do want to look at the ML cape. Okay, there we go. So pretty early in guidance, like I've said, of course, but I do want to pull up the lower level jet overlay with that, though. I do want to see those lower level winds, at least according to what this model shows. Do this. Yeah, we got a little bit of a lower level jet here on this run, about 40 knots or so. But anyways, what's up, Course says, what's up from Tampa? You're like right next to me. I'm in Lakeland. What's up from Tampa? It's going to be 70 and calm today. Yeah, yep. Gonna be a pretty good day. It's actually a little chilly out right now. I think it's like, 40 degrees or so right now. It's a little chilly. But thankfully, it's warming up. We got pretty cold down here, especially, what was it, last week? I think we got down or my station showed 24 down here in Polk County, which is like unheard of. Very rare stuff. But thankfully, yeah, it's warming up a little bit. And it seems like for a lot of people in the country, I mean, we might have a little bit of a warming period coming up here soon, which is good, which I'm sure a lot of you guys would be happy about that. I know a lot of you guys are already ready for spring and stuff like that, in which I can't say I don't blame you. I'm ready for it too. I'm actually ready to get some rain down here. This time of the year in Florida, like I mentioned, we hardly get any rain. I mean, the only time we really get rain is from cold fronts that come through, from the systems that swing by. That's really the only time we get a little bit of rain. Even if we do, it's not really that much. We get our big soaking rains, like I said, for pretty much kind of later spring into early summer. That's or going through summer. That's when we have a lot of our rain down here, which I'm ready for that. That I definitely am. Speaking of moisture, let's pull up precipitable water just to kind of see our moisture levels here. So yeah, it seems a bit dry out in the east right now. Definitely a little bit dry. Wow, that's pretty low. That is pretty darn low. But yeah, we do have a bit of a bit of moisture coming up here. Like I mentioned, right around Valentine's Day. We're getting some moisture. We're getting maybe some instability forming here. Like I said, I'm really curious to see how this event's going to play out. Really am. But anyways, you guys. Well, like I mentioned, I mean, if there's anything specific that you guys want me to go over here, or anything like that, just let us know. But like I said, right now the main thing that we need to focus on is that little snow system up in the Great Lakes. Like I mentioned, maybe even some freezing rain too, which even like I mentioned, a little bit of freezing rain is a big problem. Let me pull up the rain accumulator, or the freezing rain accumulation here. We'll do QPF here. So this is from the RRFS model. We'll do the 06 UTC run. Yeah. Okay. So it seems like the the total freezing rain accumulation seemed to be fairly low. But like I mentioned, it doesn't really take much to to cause some problems there. We're going to be getting a bit of snow more than likely for like the upper state Michigan. For a lot of these regions, a good like 3 to 5 inches seems to be a pretty good bet from at least this model here. Darren says, what's going on with Lake Granville? Rising 23 feet overnight. What? 23 feet overnight? Here, let me pull up Lake Granville. I want to see where that's at, actually. I have no idea where Lake Granville is. Yeah, for some reason, it's not one to pull up. That's interesting. Good morning, Kim. Good to see you. Saying good morning, everyone. What's happening? We got a few things happening. Like I mentioned, we do have a bit of a snow, maybe freezing rain system for the upper, or for the Great Lakes, I should say. That'll be taking place pretty much Monday to tomorrow and going into Tuesday. So that'll be Monday going into Tuesday. Now, then, like I mentioned, on the 14th, on Valentine's Day, or right around Valentine's Day, we might have another storm system come through. So we'll definitely need to keep an eye out there for that. But yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, there could be a bit of freezing rain and snow involved here, which, like I mentioned, even a little bit of freezing rain is not really good. And then, of course, out west, like we mentioned too, we do have a bit of precipitation. Right now, actually, we do have a bit of rain and snow falling up across the Pacific Northwest. Like Oregon, getting some rain for the lower levels, upper levels getting some snow. And then, of course, for our friends up in like Central California, coming over here towards later, actually for Tuesday going into Wednesday, we'll have some precipitation come through. Actually bringing some snow for some of those upper elevations. It looks like could even rain out by Los Angeles here for Wednesday. But yeah, we'll definitely keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, also that system one for about right around Valentine's Day, we'll keep you posted. Like I mentioned, there's still a lot of disagreement in the models for that system, but we'll definitely let you know if anything changes. Alrighty, everybody. Well, I think I'm going to wrap up the morning update here. If you guys did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new. If there's any final questions you guys have before I roll off, be sure to let us know. Like I mentioned, we'll be here to help you guys out and just kind of keep you guys up to date with what's going on here. But at the current moment, actually, I'll bring up the current radar here real quickly. Just to show you guys kind of where everything's at. Like we mentioned, actually have a little bit of snow going on right now. In the Ohio Valley, you can see a little bit of snow out by Ohio, bits of Indiana, out there by, a little bit of Michigan even. Just a little bit of snow, nothing big. And then of course out Pacific Northwest, like we mentioned, that moisture coming through. A bit of snow in those upper levels, and some rain for the lower levels and stuff. Am I going live again today? I am not sure, to be honest with you. Like I mentioned, there's no immediate danger going on. Like if there is like a big storm system or whatever, then yeah, I would go live. But I can't guarantee. I'm not going to make any promises because I hate committing to something and then it's almost always something pops up and I can't, I can't end up streaming or whatever. But I'm not sure. I don't know. That's why it's important to keep those notifications on. That way you do get notified whenever I do go live. Whenever YouTube works half the time, because most of the time it doesn't. But yeah, at least there's a shot. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining. You guys take care. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night, or really morning, I should say. For me, I've been total nocturnal lately, so... But I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your morning. I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy the Super Bowl, y'all, because today's Super Bowl Sunday. Today's a big day in the sport world, so just be sure y'all be safe out there, and if you're out there partying, have a good time. And all right, everybody, thank you all for joining. You guys take care, and we'll see y'all in the next one. Peace out, my friends. See ya later on.